Tonight, on the first Sports Night in Auburn of 2024, we dive into men and women's basketball as well as the start to baseball and softball season.
And stay tuned for more Auburn athletics with updates on gymnastics, golf, tennis, and a whole lot more.
Sports Night in Auburn begins right now.
Auburn, Alabama, the best atmosphere in all of college sports.
He drives and slips.
Welcome to Sports Night in Auburn.
Going deep to the left.
Welcome to Sports Night in Auburn.
Sideline. Going to the end zone.
Welcome to Sports Night in Auburn.
And welcome back to Sports Night in Auburn.
Welcome back to Sports Night in Auburn. It has been a while. I'm Valerie Heffernan.
And I'm Jack Corbett. Val, it is so good to be back.
I agree. We have had a good start to the semester so far, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I agree. How's your semester going?
So far, so good. It's been going by fast, so I feel like it's almost spring break, and then it'll be summer by the time it's over.
Yeah, I'm so excited for summer. Excited to do some camping, go out west.
Ooh, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
I'm going to Europe this summer for study abroad. So
Oh, what
look
country?
forward to that. I'm going to Milan and Madrid, Italy
Cool.
and Spain.
Nice.
So that'll be fun. But before we get into summer, we are 1 month away from March, which means it is basketball season. The Auburn Tigers have been crushing it over the past few months. Auburn has a 19-5 record and is third in the SEC, right behind South Carolina and Alabama with a conference record of 8-3. The Tigers are currently ranked 13th in the top AP poll and have 2 top 25 matchups coming up this week at home in Neville Arena. Let's take a look at the current top 25 teams in the country.
Start with this list. What sticks out to you?
You know what? Honestly, Kentucky at 22 sticks out to me, especially because they're facing the Auburn Tigers this Saturday at home. I'm hoping for an Auburn win, but we'll see about that.
Yeah, Kentucky is just such a good team. I cannot wait for that game. I love watching Reed Shepherd, Rob Dillingham, both exciting young players. Look forward to seeing them in the NBA. Also, for Kentucky though, we got to watch out for South Carolina. Number 11, sneaky 11 up there. Big week for Auburn basketball.
Right, but I feel like the Tigers can take them once again. I feel us moving up back to top 5, so we'll see how that goes.
I hope so. Well, before Auburn takes on the Gamecocks in Neville Arena tomorrow night, last week the Crimson Tide were in town. The Iron Bowl of basketball drew a massive crowd and, of course, led to yet another Proville sighting. Here's Eagle Eye's Brett Fouts with interviews from students camping out and one very special guest.
What made you come out here tonight?
Hey, we're camping out for the game. My buddy Connor was out here when I walked by to see if anyone's out here, and he's like, man, you got to hop in line. So we hopped in. We're going to sleep here tonight, go to class in the morning, then we're back here for the game tomorrow.
It's Bama. It's never done it before. It's home. I mean, we just sadly lost and everything. You got to come back from that and bring the support. We're here for it.
So, Chad, how awesome is it to see the Auburn family come out and camp out like this the night before a game?
It's amazing. Actually, never been to a school where I actually have people this dedicated, and that's why I came out here and try, mess with them, talk to them a little bit, because, got to show love back to the people. That's the reason why, I play the way I do, try to interact with them as much as I can. So it's all love, like how Katie said today. If you love us, like we love y'all. So we try to be as close with touch with y'all. So appreciate y'all.
With all the anticipation leading up to this game, it was guaranteed to be one for the books. Let's check out reporter Vince Wolfram's take on the game.
On Wednesday, Auburn proved why free throws can win you ball games. The number 12 Tigers sunk a school record 40 free throws. Yes, 40 free throws in a 99-81 win over its rival number 16 Alabama. With the win, Auburn is now in a 3-way tie with South Carolina in the Crimson Tide for first place in the SEC.
That was a must-win. Our goal is to win SEC. So, we had to get a separator. We had to get one.
There is a reason why those two were on the stand post-game, because Jalen Williams and Janai Broome both had field days against Alabama's defense. Williams scored a career-high 26 points on 8 of 13 shooting, and his sidekick Broome, the SEC Player of the Week, poured in 24 points, 7 boards, and 5 blocked shots. Coach Pearl believes this duo deserves some national attention.
At the beginning of the year, I did talk about the fact that I thought we had pretty good front line. Probably if you look me up, would say I think we have one of the better front lines in our league. I think I said that. Didn't get a lot of talk about it. I think Jalen Williams and Janai Broome could get some discussions about front lines in the country.
When you play on the road in the SEC, the little things that matter most are magnified. And the students in the Auburn jungle made sure that sound level meter hit its peak.
Crowd was amazing. The environment was tremendous. ESPN goes to a lot of great buildings, a lot of sellout crowds. This place is different.
That jungle roar took the roof off of Neville Arena with 33 seconds left in the first half when Jalen Williams did this.
Yeah, I think I almost broke my wrist.
I'm jealous. Nah, listen, we talk about windmills all the time. I just learned how to windmill this year. Learned from him, But I always want to get an in-game windmill. He gets it. He gets 8 of them in the season,
On Saturday, Auburn travels to the Swamp for a matchup against the Florida Gators in Gainesville, a place where Auburn hasn't won since February of 1996. For Eagle Eye TV, I'm Vince Wolfram.
After that dominating win over rival Alabama, Auburn looked to gain their first win in Gainesville since 1996 and put an end to the 28-year streak when they took on the Florida Gators on Saturday. Unfortunately, however, the Tigers left Florida with a loss for the 15th straight time. The Gators dominated Auburn with a score of 81-65. Auburn committed 15 turnovers and was down by 29 points at one point before cutting the deficit to 16 to close it out. Tomorrow night, Auburn looks to bounce back when they take on number 11 South Carolina at home for the Black History Month game. Then, on Saturday, it is the annual Outlive game with the number 22 Kentucky Wildcats and the College Game Day crew coming to town. Both games are must-wins for the Orange and Blue.
Switching over to the women's side, the Tigers have a 15-8 overall record with a 4-6 conference record and are just coming off of their first SEC road win. The team defeated Mizzou 70-59 on Sunday. Never trailing throughout the entire game, Auburn was able to pick up its 4th SEC win. Honesty Scott Grayson was a major factor in this victory as she scored 24 points, making her 4th straight SEC game with over 40 points. Jemiah Mingo Young also played a role as she secured her 2nd double-double of the season with 10 points and 11 rebounds. The Orange and Blue will look to get another SEC win, this time at home when they take on Kentucky this Thursday. Fans are encouraged to wear pink for the annual Play for K pink game.
On to equestrian, the team opened their spring season with 2 road matches against 2 top 10 ranked opponents, South Carolina and Georgia. However, the top 5 ranked Tigers could not seal the deal, losing both contests 11-9 and 11-7 respectively. The Riding Tigers are home this upcoming weekend, hosting Dartmouth on Friday the 16th and UT Martin Saturday the 17th.
When we come back, we have gymnastics, softball, baseball, and even some more football news. But first, it is finally, once again, trivia time.
How many former Auburn Tigers have played in the Super Bowl? Is it A, 58, B, 76, C, 42, or D, 61?
Let us know which answer you think is correct on our Twitter at EETV_sports and our Instagram stories at EagleEyeTV_sports. We will see you after this short break.
Welcome back to Sports Night in Auburn. I'm Jack Corbett.
And I'm Valerie Heffernan. If you said the answer was D, 61, then you were right. Auburn has had a total of 61 former players play in a Super Bowl over the years.
Do you watch the Super Bowl this weekend?
I did. Did you?
I did. Sadly, I was cheering for the 49ers, 4.5 hours of my life down the drain. But it was a great game, 2nd overtime Super Bowl game in history, the most watched televised game ever.
Really?
Yeah, I saw that this morning, which is unbelievable. The Swifties came out in full form for this weekend.
They were ready for that. See, I was not going for a specific team, but I was just there for the halftime performance. A little disappointed that Justin Bieber didn't come out, but Usher, still pretty good.
Out of 10, what do you think?
Out of 10, I'd give it a solid 8. What about you?
I wasn't that big of a fan. I would say it's 6 range.
Shocking.
Yeah.
All right.
I know. Speaking of Auburn players in the Super Bowl, former Auburn offensive tackle Prince Tega Wanogho won his 2nd Super Bowl in a row with the Chiefs win. Although he was on injured reserve for most of the season and did not play on Sunday, Wanogho still secured himself as a 2-time world champion as a member of the Kansas City Chiefs.
In another bit of NFL news, former Auburn quarterback Jonathan Jones was honored as a Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee at the 2024 NFL Honors. Jones was the New England Patriots nominee and one of just 32 men to be considered for the award. He was recognized for his dedication to community and his efforts not only on the field, but off the field as well. Jones established his own foundation, the Jonathan Jones Next Step Foundation Incorporation, in 2019, and in 2023 made history as the first male ambassador for I Play Like a Girl, supporting women and girls in STEM and sports.
Next up, we have a quick football coaching update for you. After the departures of many key members on the staff, including Ron Roberts, Philip Montgomery, Cadillac Williams, Zach Etheridge, Jeremy Garrett, and Trovon Reed, Hugh Freeze has finally cemented his 2024 coaching staff. The new members on the Plains include offensive coordinator Derek Nix, co-defensive coordinators DJ Durkin and Charles Kelly, and Vontrell King Williams was promoted to defensive tackles coach. With kickoff exactly 200 days away, this new staff looks to head into spring training with a winning mindset.
Sticking with football, the 2024 NFL Combine released the full list of all 321 prospects invited. On that list are 4 Auburn Tigers hoping to get drafted. This includes defensive lineman Marcus Harris and defensive backs DJ James, Jalen Simpson, and Nehemiah Pritchett. Let's check out Eagle Eye reporter Micah Farmer's scouting evaluation on cornerback Nehemiah Pritchett.
Thanks, guys, and welcome to the first segment of your Auburn Weekly Draft Evals, or WDE for short. That's a favorite acronym of ours here on the Plains, so figured I could apply it to some draft content this year. The first player we're going to be going into is Nehemiah Pritchett, one of the boundary corners for Auburn this year, and this is a very good corner class this year in the NFL draft, so Pritchett might be pushed down a little bit compared to what he might be in a more normal year or a more down DB class, but that doesn't mean Pritchett isn't a good prospect. He has very prototypical height and arm length for the position. It's 6'1" and long arms. They're really able to disrupt receivers at the line of scrimmage, get them out of their breaks, kind of mess up their rhythm a little bit, and that'll be very valuable in a press man scheme if that's what he gets drafted into. He also has good long speed and good recovery speed, so he's less likely to get beat deep by receivers, which nowadays with the type of athlete you're getting at the receiver position more and more, that is something that's going to be very valuable to NFL teams. Then also scheme versatility. Pritchett has good instincts in zone coverage as well and can also play off man, not just press man. So really whatever you want to do as a defensive coordinator, Pritchett can do it for you. So that versatility is going to be coveted by DCs around the league, I think. And then he also has great burst out of that off man coverage I was talking about and out of his back pedal. So as soon as a play starts, he's going to be in that back pedal shadowing a receiver. Then if a receiver makes a cut deep down the field, he has great burst out of that back pedal to stay right with him, stay in phase, and not get beat deep. As for his weaknesses, really it starts with tackling. Pritchett is not really a sound tackler at all. I think that's going to prevent him from maybe being used as a slot corner, so you're really looking at him staying on the outside if you draft him. Doesn't really have good form when going up and attacking ball carriers and gets caught out of position a lot of the time. Then his ball production. Only 3 interceptions in his entire career at Auburn. I know ball production isn't everything for a DB. You really want to see a guy that can cover well and stay in phase more so than just pick the ball off a lot. Like, we all know Deron Bland, despite his ball production, is not an elite corner in the NFL. So I don't think that'll be a huge red flag for Pritchett, but you would like to see it be higher. Then giving up ground. That trigger speed that he has is great for that off man and the recovery out of his break, but the issue is if a receiver's running a slant or you're running a stick concept or anything short, Pritchett can get beat consistently and easily on those because he backpedals too long before triggering down at a receiver. I think he relies on his speed a bit too much. He relies on his quickness out of his breaks and that, and because of that gives up ground. And then finally, he's a thin little guy. I know maybe not compared to you or I, but for an NFL corner, very slender. So you worry about big physical receivers, maybe boxing him out, getting position on him, and I think that can maybe be an issue if he's going to stick on the outside, which, as we talked about with him moving inside, it's probably not going to happen. So he's going to be out there. He'll just need to maybe put on some muscle, put on some pounds, and make sure he can avoid being boxed boxed out by those bigger physical NFL receivers. Overall, I have Pritchett graded as a day 2 pick with mid-round 2 upside. Like I said, it's a good corner class this year, so I think that shoves him down the board just a little bit. However, I do think Pritchett is a guy that is going to be a adequate starter for an NFL team with the upside to where if he is developed properly by a good D coordinator and a good scheme, I think you could see him become a good corner, honestly, a very solid starter for an NFL team that acquires him. So as your first player for weekly Auburn draft evals, Nehemiah Pritchett, and next week we will move on to another corner, DJ James. But for now, back to you guys at the desk.
Flipping on over to gymnastics, the gymnastics team has had an even start to the season with an overall record of 5-5. However, despite 5 losses, Auburn is still ranked number 12 because the SEC has dominated in gymnastics this year. All 8 teams are currently ranked in the top 25. This past weekend, the Iron Bowl of gymnastics took place in a sold-out Neville Arena, and Auburn was able to complete the upset over number 7 Alabama with a final score of 197.725 to 197.05, making this the largest margin of victory over Alabama in program history. Auburn's very own graduate student Cassie Stevens won her 3rd consecutive all-around with a career-high 39.7. The Tigers also tied their program record on vault and had season highs on beam and floor. The team will head to Baton Rouge next to take on number 3 LSU on Friday.
It was opening weekend for women's softball as they hosted the Tiger Invitational. Coming in at 19 in the NFCA Coaches Preseason Poll, the anticipation was high as they started the Invitational taking on number 23 Virginia Tech on Friday. The game ended in an 8-1 loss after Virginia Tech scored 8 unanswered runs in extra innings. The Tigers were able to bounce back, however, beating Belmont 6-1. Auburn looked to avenge their loss to Virginia Tech the following day, but the game ended in a 5-5 tie after a 2-hour rain delay and eventually being called off after 6 innings. Both Sunday games against Illinois and Belmont were canceled due to weather. Coming up, the Tigers will compete in the Puerto Vallarta Challenge in Mexico, taking on UC Davis, number 16 Utah, Wichita State, and number 7 Clemson from Thursday the 15th to Saturday the 17th. Good luck to them.
Swinging over to the other diamond, 2 Tigers earned preseason All-SEC recognition. Sophomore Ike Irish was named the first team preseason All-SEC designated hitter utility player, and graduate student Bobby Pierce was chosen as a second team preseason All-SEC outfielder. Auburn baseball will kick off their season on Friday with 3 games against Eastern Kentucky. Opening day on the Plains will begin at 6 p.m. in Plainsman Park.
Coming up on Sports Night in Auburn, we will bring you updates on golf, tennis, track and field, and swim and dive. But of course, Jack, what time is it?
It's trivia time.
Oh yeah. Who was the first and only player in Auburn baseball history to go first overall in the MLB draft? Is it A, Frank Thomas, B, Bo Jackson, C, Casey Mize, or D, Sonny DeShera?
Check back with us after the break to see if you are correct. You are watching Sports Night in Auburn, and we will be right back.
Welcome back to Sports Night in Auburn. I'm Valerie Heffernan.
And I'm Jack Corbett. If you guessed C, Casey Mize, then you were right. Former Auburn pitcher Casey Mize was selected first overall by the Detroit Tigers in the 2018 MLB Draft.
Opening day is coming up on the Plains. Jack, are you going?
My geology lab will not let me go to those games, sadly. But I'll be keeping up on my phone, maybe sneak a glance every now and then. Gotta see how my baseball Tigers are doing.
Definitely. Well, I will be there, and I'll cheer them on for the both of us.
Thank you. Appreciate it. On to men's golf, the number 1 team in the nation had a 3rd place finish at the Amer Ari Invitational in Waikoloa, Hawaii this past weekend. The Tigers shot 58 under, setting a new school record. They are back in action next week in Indigo, California for the Prestige Individual.
Moving over to women's golf, they also had an outstanding weekend with a 3rd place overall finish in the Lady Puerto Rico Classic. The number 15 Tigers shot a total of 8 under with seniors Anna Foster and Megan Schofield having record low performances to finish off the event. The Tigers will be traveling to Melbourne, Florida next for the Moon Golf Invitational this weekend.
Moving on, track and field season is finally here. On Friday, the Tigers traveled to Clemson for the Tiger Paw Invitational. Junior Simone Johnson had a career-best triple jump that put her at number 7 nationally. Last weekend, the Orange and Blue also competed in Nashville for the Music City Challenge, where freshman Camila Gomes made history. She broke the school freshman indoor record in the women's mile, coming in at 4 minutes and 38 seconds. In 2 days of competition in Clemson and Nashville, the Tigers also established 23 new personal bests. The SEC Indoor Championships are up next for the Tigers from Friday, February 23rd to Saturday the 24th in Arkansas. Good luck to them.
Over in the water, the number 10 men and number 15 women swim and dive team hosted the Auburn Invitational with lots of Tigers setting personal bests. The Orange and Blue will host the SEC Championships next week from Monday, February 19th to Saturday, February 24th.
Switching gears to tennis, the number 14 Lady Tigers competed in the ITA Indoor Championships. The Tigers did not start off strong, falling to number 3 Oklahoma State and number 9 Texas A&M, but were able to bounce back and finish with an upset over number 8 Florida, winning 4-0. Auburn will face number 10 Texas this upcoming Sunday, February 18th in Austin.
Finally, men's tennis was on the road this weekend, capturing a win against Wisconsin on Friday, but unable to secure the win in South Bend against Notre Dame on Sunday. The Tigers will be back in action at home this Sunday, February 18th, hosting Middle Tennessee State and the Citadel.
To round up tonight's show, here's a look at all the upcoming events for Auburn athletics. Be sure to support all Auburn athletes this weekend.
Well, that is all we have for you tonight on Sports Night in Auburn. Be sure to check out our Twitter at EETV_sports.
And our Instagram at EagleEyeTV_sports. Thank you so much for tuning in to our first show of the semester. I'm Jack Corbett.
And I'm Valerie Heffernan. Good night.
And War Eagle.